Welcome to Powered by Ancestry. I'm your host, Kwesi Kunadu. In this episode, we'll focus on a tool that I developed called the Family History Worksheet. This worksheet is to get at the very root question of our lives, but also the very purpose of Powered by Ancestry. Powered by Ancestry, you might recall, is a series of educational, informative episodes that combines history, spirituality, healing, and ancestral data in fascinating ways to reveal and map out something about your purpose in life or how to live the purposeful life once we've mapped it out. And so as your guide, I'll give you a practical and very effective method that you can use and reuse to clarify that purpose in life and to live that purposeful life. And so without further ado, let me share with you the Family History Worksheet and how to use it and reuse it and maximize your ancestral journey. Here's the Family History Worksheet. So again, the Family History Worksheet was designed to give you a structured process, but a simple process for you to find out or essentially to discover your purpose in life. What we want to start with in the first step is to have generations. Generations start with yourself, much like a family tree. You start with yourself, then your parents, then your grandparents, and your great-grandparents, and your great-great-grandparents, and as far as back as your research and documents can take you. Don't worry if you don't know all the details about individuals in that family tree or in these generations. What's important are some of the features that we'll talk about right now. And so once we've listed yourself, and then your parents, their parents, and their parents' parents, and so on and so forth, we then come to the next column. The column here is behaviors. And behaviors refers to the kinds of attitudes and demeanor and sort of the personality, generally speaking, meaning we all get angry, we all get frustrated. These are normal human emotions. But generally speaking, what is the average demeanor or tendencies of these individuals in our family history? And so what is the general behavior of those individuals, starting with yourself and then moving along to your parents, grandparents, and others? And so you want to list those behaviors there for each of those rows that follow. Once you've moved past or completed all the general behaviors that essentially characterize or define yourself and those that come after you or came before you, you then want to go to physical features. And physical features, of course, are important markings, scarifications, tattoos, body type. All those are very important because they provide us with clues about particularities or particulars that are found in your ancestry. Finally, and most importantly, we want to list here challenges and issues. That is, what are the predominant or the general challenges and issues that have confronted or confounded each generation, yourself included. And then you do the same for your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and so on. And these issues and challenges could include, for example, a tendency or a pattern, and the key word here is pattern, meaning you see it in more than one person per generation. Let's say the issues with money or finances or with law enforcement or with violence or with, and these issues and challenges, I should probably add a fourth column here, which would have to be assets. Those things that are tools, that are benefits. So for example, one asset in my family history is that they were healers. And so healing or the healing arts is certainly a pattern and a benefit in my family. So you can add certainly another column there for benefits and assets. And finally, you want to add another column perhaps before behavior, and these are qualities. You might ask, what's the difference between qualities and behaviors? Behaviors are actions, right? Whereas qualities are much more the sort of immaterial, less clearly defined features of a person. So for instance, there's a quality about me where I'm selfless, where selflessness is not really a behavior, though it can certainly feed a behavior. But selflessness is a quality, right? So a quality about those persons that sort of characterize or define them. Whereas the behavior may be, through my selflessness, a behavior may be that I like to take care of others, right? So you may want to add, again, 2 more columns, one before behaviors for qualities and one after challenges and issues for benefits and assets, tools, things that have been very productive and positive within your family. Once you complete step 1, and step 1, of course, is really dependent on the degree or level of your family history research. So all the data points, all the details and fragments you've gathered, over the months, over the years, you want to plot those out in those categories. These are more so the qualitative features of our family history. Less about numbers here. They're more about the qualitative features. And that brings us to step 2. In step 2, you want to circle from step 1 those qualities, behaviors, physical features, issues and challenges, and benefits and assets that appear in more than one generation. So for instance, as I mentioned a moment ago, healing and being a spiritualist reoccurs among myself, among my grandfather, among my great-grandmother, among her mother. And so that would be certainly a benefit and asset that runs within my family. And so any of these or those qualities, behaviors, physical features, issues, and benefits and tools, you want to circle them only if they appear more than once. And I'll explain in a moment why we do that. The third step, once we have made those circles among those appearing more than once, what we want to do here is list, and you can see right below step 3, you want to list those qualities, behaviors, physical features, issues and challenges, as well as benefits and tools that are shared. So for instance, once more, the healing arts is a shared feature among at least 4 or 5 generations of my family. So that will be a shared tool of benefit. An example of a issue or challenge would be the violence in my family. And by violence, I mean the sort of anger and pain that lingers in my family. So that will be a feature. Or it may also be a behavior in my family, which is we tend to be brutally honest. And probably that's a quality, really. That's really a quality. So we'll put that on a quality. We're honest, but we're very upfront and sometimes very brutal about it. A behavior would be we're also very caring. So we're healers who are caring, who are brutally honest, but have sometimes can be violent in our words and sometimes our actions toward each other and those who are around us. And so already you see a story developing, and that's really what we want to do in this family history worksheet. We want to see an emerging, a developing story that perhaps was untapped or unseen before. So once we've done that in step 3 for qualities, behaviors, physical features, issues and challenges, we want to also add historical time. That is, what are those shared features, behaviors, qualities, issues and challenges, and tools and assets in what time? So the affinity to the healing arts occur from the at least late 18th century within my maternal line, that's in my mother's line. My father's lineage doesn't have the healing arts. And so you would do this for both lineage. That is your maternal line, that is your mother's lineage, your mother's family line, and of course your paternal line, your father's family line. Doing both, of course, makes this a complete exercise rather than do them singularly. And so once you note the historical time, because this is context, that is the time in which these qualities and behaviors occur is very important. And so those times do matter because they contextualize each generation and put them into perspective. It also puts in perspective the kind of behaviors that we find and features we find over time. In combining all of those in step 3, that will give you, again, a developing and emerging picture to clarify your purpose in life. But we go a step further, and this is step 4. In step 4, what we want to do there is answer this sort of yes and no question for all of the features. And of course, we can add to them tools, benefits. Do any of the qualities which you have circled, which you have shared, in terms of when I say you, I mean you and your family, have in common or shared, do they match the self, which is you, in terms of your self-description? For me, yes, the quality of healing matches me because I am a healer, and that comes through my family's lineage, my maternal family lineage. Then you do the same for behaviors. Do any of the behaviors within your family history match your self-description? That is you. The same we do for features. What kinds of physical features do match up? Whether it's body type, whether it's markings, whether it's tattoos or scarifications, or other kinds of bodily features, hand size, hand shape, feet size, those kinds of things. So it's not only a physical trait, it's also a marker of belonging to a particular kind of family, right? And issues and challenges. One of the challenges, within my family is the maintenance of a family through the active presence of the men. Now, I don't share that, but certainly that's a feature in my family that, knowing it, I've worked against that particular feature bleeding into my family. And then, of course, benefits, assets, and tools. And after you've done so, and maybe you can't see the very bottom, but the very bottom is reflection. After you've completed, you want to have a reflection in a quiet place, by yourself, little noise or distraction, and you want to go through this process in terms of reflecting on it, because this worksheet is a process that is structured to give you very real outcomes when it comes to more insight, more clarity, and even more details to help to reveal and certainly help you to map out and therefore live out your purposeful life. Now, there are two caveats here. As you continue to do your family research and deep digging, once you come across new information, you'll redo this worksheet. Why? By redoing it, you're adding new data and perhaps new insight to, again, reach the reflective point that will have much more clarity, much more revealing details, and it might even, change slightly or in a major way what you've come to know about that purpose in life. And so the more research and details you dig up that you find about yourself and the generations that came before you, you want to redo this worksheet. And so this worksheet has an infinite lifespan. You want to keep redoing it and do this with your children if you have children. Do this with your spouse if you're married. Do this with other family members. Because the more folks that are implicated by virtue of being family members in this process, the more clearer and more precise and more healthy the outcome will be in terms of your purpose. The second caveat here is that identity and purpose in life is revealed through your family history. And that's why we have this family history worksheet to give you a very efficient, simple, but effective tool to do so. Now, finally, I'll add that you want to do this process with a trusted elder or healer or spiritualist who can help you untangle some of the more thorny and less obvious, even complicated issues or behaviors or features that come up that may not be clear to you on your own. And of course, I'm available for consultations to help you through this. And sometime perhaps in the near future, I'll have one of these available to you for you to use, again, with you and your family and those members, in your broader family that would benefit from this process. And so that is the Family History Worksheet, a very effective, very simple, but very potent, a powerful tool for you to work on your ancestry and therefore yourself in terms of mapping out and living the purposeful life. For Powered by Ancestry, I'm your guide, Kwesi Kunadu. I'll see you next episode.